communication and comfort level with the defense as noticeable as some of the guys have maybe sounded on the last couple of
No doubt, because that's what counts. It really doesn't matter what I think as far as comfort level. It's good to hear them say that, but I made a comment to them today while we were going through this zone pressure period in this particular. That was our focus in this practice, and I said it was really fun to start the signal and not even complete it and have everybody making the call. So it's a matter of they know more of what to expect, and it's second nature. So it's helping with taking the thinking out. The reactions are getting better, and we're starting to play faster, and that's the key. Because if you're not, it's you know, we don't want to play defensive offense. We want to be offensive with what we do, and it's got to be reactionary. We were talking today because we actually met. We took advantage of the fact that it was Saturday. We stayed within the hours, you know, that we were able to, but we met about 3 different times with different groups today because we had been having a walkthrough. The walkthrough's no longer, so we felt like we had to meet. But we put in 6, 7, 8, 9 zone pressures, and they handled every single one of them when we got out here, because conceptually they understand. And then the comment made in the meeting was, if you went back to the first game last year, in the first half, we killed ourselves just by making mistakes. You know, some of the things that it doesn't matter what I think are simple. Some of the simplest things, the simplest movements. You know, a guy's supposed to be going to his right, he goes to his left. Somebody's supposed to be coming off the edge, they don't come off the edge. We make a coverage call on the outside where we swap the 1 and 2 when they take a switch release, and the corner doesn't come downhill, but yet the safety pushes inside. And so, you know, all those types of things. We just shot ourselves in the foot, and whatever it was, right? Not enough reps at it, not a good enough teacher of those things, whatever, it doesn't matter. But we don't need to use scheme necessarily, but it sure is helpful because it just gives you some tools in the toolbox when you play so that you can be more aggressive and take the fight to the other side of the ball.
How important has Nate Geary been in this transition, and just as far as being a kind of leader on the field?
Well, Nate's that. Nate Geary is respected by his teammates. They see how hard he works. They see what type of athlete he is and what type of player he is, but what type of player, more importantly, that he can be. I love coaching Nate Geary because as good a player as he is, he presents challenges he's a little stubborn, but I kind of like that, you know. And it's fun playing that game to get him to just, you know, at times when he needs to, you know, lighten up and work. He gets frustrated because he's a perfectionist, but he's got to learn that it's okay sometimes to be wrong. But the most important thing is just to get back in that saddle and work on the things that you have deficiencies in. Today, he played some man coverage against the slot and did a great job from a standpoint of, in my eyes, at how he improved. Now, he can cover the tight end and all that stuff, but in that slot, it's nothing that he always, hey, let me go do this, right? I mean, he wasn't successful at doing it all the time. Wasn't asked to do it, you know, ever, I don't think. Not here in this scheme, but, you know, we'd like to have him at times be able to do that. But just the fact that he's working at something that he wasn't necessarily the best at and wasn't perfect at, I mean, that showed that he's coming, because this kid has got a chance to be a good player, and yes, he is a leader on this defense. There's no doubt.
Have you seen any other like big noticeable changes in the secondary? Obviously, you said you guys shot yourself in the foot, and obviously secondary is kind of a position everyone's been watching real close this coming year. In that position group, has anybody else kind of like wowed you, impressed you early on with improvement?
Well, for one thing, I think what ended up happening through the course of the year, rather than just firing guys out of positions, you know, we kind of went through the, you know, the scheme of things, respected seniors that were in the group, juniors in the group, And then bottom line was Josh Kalu and Chris Jones were the best two corners in this program, without a doubt. Anywhere from ability to dependability to making the right choices. So from that standpoint, and with that said, even Josh Kalu, I remember having a conversation with him. I think we talked about that one time when we were here against just before the Wisconsin game. You know, he's, you know, do you want to be a class clown or do you want to be the cream of the crop when it comes to playing the corner position at a major college level? And a little bit of attitude change, and I'm not saying that was the case, but he's the one that made a decision to do that, came out and played his ass off versus Wisconsin, made some huge plays in that game. And he's improved tremendously like that, right? Chris Jones now, I mean, I don't want to say, I learned my lesson last year, you know, saying somebody's new weight or whatever, like, you know, and it goes out to the Twitter universe and everything else, but I know this, Chris Jones has added strength, he's added muscle mass, he's increased his body weight. I'm not going to give a figure because I would want to be exact on that, but he is a different dude right now playing with a whole nother set of consequences. Now, hey, we haven't played anybody, right? We've been scouting ourselves, defense versus defense, for the last 3 days. So all that's yet to be seen. I think Aaron Williams has improved. I think Kyron Williams had a good spring. You know, he's doing some better things, but he needs to keep improving. We need to have him keep improving. So you know, it's nothing right now. You know what I mean? Until we go out there and do it, and then hey, once they complete that one deep pass or score a touchdown on us, whatever, I mean, what are we going to do, go in the tank? No, I mean, these kids are working. We're working at it. And there's definite, you know, improvement from schematics to physical improvement by these guys.
Hey Mark, maybe your 8 to 10 top D linemen right now all kind of have new opportunities. Have you seen a competitive level in these first 3 practices that you like, them sensing opportunities?
I don't know. You know, from a standpoint of actual practice, it's tough because, you know, with shorts and T-shirts, today was the first time with shoulder pads, and we haven't hit anybody. You know, we haven't gone against the offense at all. But, you know, watching them, specifically when we came back off the road the month of June, a couple times a week, watching them out on the field drills, I mean, across the board, this whole team competed very, very hard. You know, you could hear the leaders and the leadership and, you know, encouraging guys. But guys have worked hard. The one thing I will say, you know, it's really good to see Mick Stoltenberg on the field. Which sounds crazy, the injury might have been the best thing to happen to him because Mick was always very strong and developed from the waist up. And even though he was strong in the lower body, it didn't look it. But the most important thing that's happened to him because of the rehab with his knee, his flexibility appears to have really increased along with his mobility and change of direction. He is a big guy and he can bend. And let's hope that translates into being a hell of a football player. But he sure looks good in the uniform.
Nick Gary was talking the other day about the transition to the rugby-style tackling and going back
Yes.
to I know you've not done a lot of, like you say, contact here,
Yeah.
but how do you think that'll affect things this year and maybe keep making games after what happened the last 2 games of last year?
Well, you know, one of the reasons why we did it, right, was player safety. And then the other thing is effective measures both the execution of it and then at the same time, like you're talking about, the penalty aspect of it, because what it's done also is it's changed the strike zone, right? So you can never hit anybody, you know, above the shoulders because then that ends up being targeting. Helmet to helmet, whatever we want to call it, but the strike zone basically from the armpits down to the knees, but more importantly, we're always focusing on the hip. So it does a lot of stuff for us too from a standpoint of our pursuit angles, because a lot of our missed tackles last year became an over pursuit and loss of leverage when we were coming from inside out. Not to say again it's not going to change because I thought in the first scrimmage that we had, we tackled better from a standpoint of angles than we did in the spring game. And then, you know, well, what's the difference? You know, it's people in the stands. All of a sudden, guys maybe lose their mind a little bit, right? And the focus gets a little tweaked. But I just think you could see the confidence that is built amongst the players to be able to really go out and attack in a position that they appear to be more comfortable in doing so. And it's also helped in our pursuit angles as well.
How's that? Is it a little bit of an adventure teaching defensive linemen to tackle down, like, you know, between the knees and the hip?
Well, here's the deal, okay? Like we said, we got a strike zone, right? Armpit to knees. Yeah. For me, being as vertically challenged as I am, I'm going to have an easy time hitting from the knee to maybe the upper thigh. Where a guy that's that much taller versus a running back that's, you know, a running back's 5'11", and the defensive, it's Mick Stoltenberg, he's 6'4", right? He'll probably hit the guy right there in the top of that strike zone, right? So it's still a matter of body position and being able to bend and still being able to target the hip, and then, you know, it's gonna change. It's as far as the disparity in bodies. Yes.
It seems like you're pretty excited about that, like his potential.
I always have been. You know, it was such a shame that bowl week of practice. Hank used to talk about him, you know, all the time. It was his favorite in the meet, just because of the fact that Mick was always like in a bad mood, you know. But he wasn't, because he's a great. He was just intense, always into the meetings, and you could just see, you know, him starting to come along. And like I said, in that bowl practice, that was a shame of the whole thing. That he was having probably the best practice that he had when he ends up injuring his knee.
How excited are you to see him, you know, when you guys do full contact here, I guess what?
Oh, I can't wait to see what he does. Yeah, and then just build from day one as we get into the season.
Anything else? That other safety spot, where does the competition stand? Opposite Nate?
Right now, the competition is between K and A Williams. So between Kyron and Aaron, once we get going, they'll be graded just like everybody else every day. But in our player meetings and that's what I shared with them. And there's competition all the time. Right now, Antonio Reed, you know, he's kind of behind Nate, you know, from that standpoint. Avery Anderson is also on the side where the two Williamses are. Reed Carroll's on the left side with behind Nate and Antonio. And then what's kind of interesting, JoJo Doman and Tony Butler. I don't know if you guys have you guys seen them physically? Now, I mean, if you look at Tony Butler, now he's a good-looking dude, and then JoJo Doman is one of those guys in the NFL that people will probably try to always, you know, beat out, but you'll never take him off the field because I mean he's got really good football intellect and instincts, and is very good athletics, got good ball skills, and then he's got a good physical build to him too.
That nickel spot.
What's that?
Who you have working at that nickel spot? Is Aaron moving at the nickel too?
Yeah, Aaron was there last year. He's been there. Kalu desperately wants to play there, but then we got to come up with a corner that we can trust. There's a number of guys that have been working there. We'll continue to look at guys.
Good. All right.
Okay.